It's Craggy's Connacht Rugby Podcast. It's the Sportsground, round 3 of the Challenge Cup. We've Brive visiting us, and we're in a very cold and pretty windy and a bit damp Sportsground. And I've got Danny Deegan here. What do you reckon, Dan? I've given some of the weather I was going to ask you to do, but I've already done it. But what are your thoughts of what Connacht are going to do, hopefully, tonight?
Well, I hope we get a bonus point, to be honest. As I walked out of the press room down the stairs, a couple of Brive guys were coming out with me, and they weren't too pleased with the wind blowing by. So it'd be interesting to see how they're feeling about it. I think we'll see that very early on, if they're going to turn up and actually play a game, or is it just going to be a case of show and face.
As I say, let's hope we get a bonus point. Much like the women just did in their excellent win up in Ravenhill with a bonus point victory to get their Interpro season back on track, and they'll have Munster here in the Sportsground next week.
Yeah, no, they did very well, especially in the last 10-15 minutes. Ulster really had them under pressure, but the Connacht line-out came good. Robbed 3 line-outs. I know they let them in at the end, but it doesn't matter. The game was over, so fair play.
Absolutely. Let's hope we get a win here today in the Sportsground. So this is Brive just leaving the field just before kick-off, and we'll talk to you again on 20 minutes. Okay, 20 minutes gone. Game's still going ahead, but Connacht are winning 21-0, Danny. It's all too easy.
Yeah, it's very easy. Connacht have come out the blocks firing, and Brive really, at times don't look like they want to be here. But Connacht have taken their tries really well. Brive are falling off tackles, making it very easy for Connacht. But I'd like to see them keep putting on the points.
Let's see if we have a bonus point at half time. Connacht have their bonus point. It's 33 points to 5. They sort of lost their way a little bit in the last 5-10 minutes of the half, because it really isn't that competitive a game.
No, it isn't. Connacht have played 14 games this season, and they've only managed to get into double figures of 22 entries twice. We're now on 9 in one half, so it's a bit one-sided.
And that's against the wind.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what we do with the wind. But it's a bit disappointed. Brive they really aren't interested. They did score a nice try. It was a lovely bit of skill from the 10.
Rafi.
Yeah, there's a reason why I didn't want him to come.
Yeah, he showed that little bit of touch of class, but he hasn't done much else, mainly because their forwards are getting beaten up by Connacht. So there's not a whole hell of a lot to say about this game. 33-5 at half time. Connacht might want to break 50 to put 55 on Brive the last time they played them, and of course Jack will try and break Eric's record.
Yeah, I'd say that's probably in the back of his mind, but get the bonus point. Got the bonus point, it's kind of job done. So
yeah, you want to get the points difference as well, whatever advantage we can going into the last round. Get as many points as we can possibly get. We'll talk again in 60 minutes. Connacht now lead 47 points to 5, and Alex Wooden's got a hat-trick. 12th Connacht player in the professional era to do so.
And if he gets over one more time, he'll be the second player to get 4 in a game. Man, Haley did it here back in 2017.
Against Brive. So yeah, not much of a contest really. At least Brive have tried to play a bit of rugby in the second half, but it's not great stuff, it has to be said. But we'll take the win, we'll take the bonus point, and we'll take the extra points that are on offer. Might see 1 or 2 more tries. Yeah. Will they break their record of scoring more than 56 points against the French team? We'll see at full time. Great win for Connacht, 61 points to 5. Their most points they've ever scored against a French team.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive. Good win. Keeps the goals alive, and next week get another bonus points against Newcastle.
Well, let's get a win first. I'll be quite happy to win. We've only ever won twice in England, so...
Yeah, but we need the bonus point to kind of try and keep in fourth. That's my point. They have to go and do that.
They do. Let's get a win. Get a home quarter-final, home round of 16. If they get a bonus point, all the better. So, yeah, good win. Not much else to say. Here's the post-match press conference.
Connacht 61, Brive 5. Sum that up for me. What is that like in the coach's books? It's the sort of game you want once in a while.
Yeah, it's much easier when you're playing rugby like that and you got a scoreline like that. I just thought, I've said it for a few weeks. I felt like we'd been building something, but to go out there, I thought that first 30 minutes was outstanding. Just a lot of good rugby, a lot of good attitude around the way we wanted to play, but also I just thought the overall accuracy of what we were doing was really good. We fell into a bit of a hole when we emptied the bench with probably 20 minutes to go, 20 minutes to go. But I thought we worked our way out of that again. So, yeah, really pleased with the lads. I thought they were great.
I suppose the standout is Alex Wooten. We've been sort of wondering where he was. Haven't seen him for a while. He was scoring tries for fun a couple of seasons ago, but that tonight looked a pretty all-round performance. He seemed to take the game by the scruff of the neck, and he fed off Mac Hansen, who was in the middle of everything.
Yeah, I thought Woots did very well, scoring 3 tries. Nice to see him actually carry hard and carry with intent, which you know when he does that, he's a hell of an athlete. He's a powerful boy. He's a fast man too, and to pick up 3 tries was great. I thought some of the work that Mac did, it was pretty special to watch. But I thought inside of them, the 9, 10, 12, 13, I thought they were pretty damn good too. I loved Colin Riley's game. I just thought the speed of the ball was excellent. Carl Ford, he's just so calm as a young bloke. He just, when he needs to carry it, he carries it. When he needs to move it, he moves it, and he makes his tackles too. And I thought Byron Ralston had by far the best game I've seen him play in a Connacht jersey. So lots to like about it. And when all that's happening inside you, blokes like Woods tend to be the recipient of good news, and he's got to be good enough to finish him, which he was, but he did well.
Forwards had to produce good ball as well, which they did. They were very competent. They got stuck into their line out a couple of times early, and it looked to me, was there a more simple attack policy in place in that game? We might have seen it last week as well against the Sharks, that there's not as much off the ball running. It's mostly we're trying to pass this ball at speed. We're looking to move and either take contact or move the ball on. Yeah,
I think that's a fair assessment, mate. I think one of the things that Pete Wilkins pushes is bodies in motion and having bodies in motion, and you saw a lot of bodies moving there today, and that makes it hard for defence. And the other thing which I think we've been really good at all year, but you certainly saw it in play tonight, was the speed of ball. Cully Tucker's done an amazing job with our breakdown. But yeah, when you're getting quick ball like that, and then when you're getting the skills work that's going on around it, which again is an area that Mossy Lawler works hard on, you tend to get some results like that, or some play like that. So it was nice to see it come together.
Can they kick on from that? I mean, next week's going to be a bigger challenge, but it's a team maybe in a similar position who don't have anything to play for, and maybe have one eye on their position in their own league. There's going to be a lot of guys as well putting their hands up for selection now. Yeah, you get a performance like that. Everyone now wants to be involved. So it was good to see so many of our non-players there tonight. I thought that was impressive, and they're all enjoying that victory as well. But they'll all want to now be wearing the jersey and show what they can do when you're playing that type of footy. So yeah, Newcastle's that's going to be different again. You saw them put a very big score on Leicester Tigers a few weeks ago. I haven't seen how they've gone today, but they'll be tough. It would be nice to make it 4 out of 4 in the Challenge Cup, and then we come back and we've got the Lions the week after. So, two tough games to finish off this block. But let's hope that momentum keeps going. Just to go back to Mac Hansen, put his hand up, did he, for 15? Did he ask to play at 15, or where did that decision come from? Because it did seem to get him more ball and more involved, but he wasn't asked maybe a lot of defensive questions this evening.
Yeah, he when he first got here, he said my best position's 15, but we'd stuck him on the wing and he was doing so well there, we didn't want to change it, to be honest. He had a few chances last year, but we felt after that maybe wing was the bit where he looked most comfortable. But to give him another opportunity, I think it was a wise selection there from Pete to throw him in at 15, and he did pretty well there tonight, didn't he?
He certainly did. What about any injury worries at all out of that game? Anybody come off with knocks?
No, we looked pretty clean, to be honest. We had, Porchy had a poke in the eye, that's why we took him off. So we were trying to protect him a touch. Keen Prendergast at the end just had a heel that was causing him a bit of grief, but we didn't need to push him through those last 5 minutes. So we played with 14 men in the last 5 minutes, but shy of that, most of the blokes seemed to come through well.
Big win. Bit of fun out there watching all the backs run around and score lots of tries after you got them some good ball.
Yeah, definitely. An enjoyable night here at the Sportsground. All week we were kind of weary would the weather be like last week? Thankfully, it held out. And we put in a strong performance, but there's things we look back on as well. We lost, I think it was 3 lineouts, which we take massive pride in. But yeah, pretty much positive for the rest of the game. Very happy with it, and a huge score put on. My biggest score, so I'm delighted with it.
It's the biggest win over a French team. Have to say, you're a hard taskmaster to be worrying about the 3 lineouts, but that's a sign of a team that unit of the team is working as a unit as well as the overall plan for the 23.
Yeah, it's funny because we can say that everything went so well, and then you go, like especially after a big win like that, you go in on Monday morning and you're all happy and everyone's happy, and then you sit down with the coaches and all of a sudden not everything is so perfect. You can like analyze everything, and all of a sudden you're like, Jesus, that's not so good. Like a lot of our drills in the line-out didn't go as planned, and all over the place. Like in our open play, we kind of, once we put a few tries on them, we started going out of shape and out of our own character, and they scored a try, started getting a few penalties, and all of a sudden the game swings like that. But thankfully we calmed the storm and it was all good in the end.
So Devault's going to come in with his video machine, is he? And he's going to be the party pooper?
We don't know, but hopefully not.
I hope not. You won 61-5, but you have to handle that. When you're in a game like that, and you know Connacht were away and gone at half time, really, it's certainly that's what it looks like to us watching on. How do you keep the concentration? Do you have to drive each other on, or is it an individual thing, or is it a team collective? Somebody has to be just pushing, because you can't step off the gas a bit because the game's done.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun until we give away a penalty or something like that, and all of a sudden we're in a huddle, taking a breath, calming the heart rate down, listen to one of the leaders, whoever it is, whoever wants to talk. Maybe a message might come on from the 24th men or the water runners to just relax, go back to our basics, and we start from zero, and all of a sudden we're back on top, back on the front foot.
Who talks in those situations? Is it Jack as the captain, or can anybody step up that's in the leadership, or one of the more senior players? How does that just happen? Anybody can get involved once you're in the huddle.
We try to keep it as little voices as possible. So during the week, we like it changed every week, but during the week we'd have a defence leader and an attack leader, and then Jack could talk as well. But if the defence isn't going well, the defence leader, or whoever that is, it changes every week, but whoever that is can just say, listen lads, get back into our lanes and all that, and then we go from there.
So, big game next week now. It's an important game for Connacht away to Newcastle. Have you had a look at them yet, or does that comes after you've been chastised for the 3 lineouts that have failed, maybe on Monday or maybe not? But do you just move on then? I mean, it's a big opportunity for Connacht. A win there can get them home field advantage further in this competition, and that's a big plus.
Yeah, we've obviously studied them from playing them a month ago, but as far as last week, we didn't look at them, didn't bat an eyelid at them. We'll get straight into it. We'll review that game, and then preview Newcastle again, start from zero. And it's a massive game for us. We're going all guns blazing for this one, to get at home, whatever it is, quarter-final or round, whatever.
It's a round of 16, but that's fair enough. It's a big weekend as well, and a great bit of fundraising last weekend with the brother. That was a phenomenal effort. You must be very pleased with the outcome of that as a family group, for all that you put in.
Delighted. Look, 3 years ago on his hair, started out as a joke between me and Dara, who could have the longest rat's tail, who could have the longest mullet. I eventually gave in when lockdown ended, the initial one. I couldn't be going around with that big mop of head of hair on me, so I gave in, and he kept going. All of a sudden it just took over, and it was his identity basically. He'd be walking down the streets and people like, oh my God, I love your mullet, or whatever, can I get a photo with you? And he was like, how am I going to get rid of this? So he did a lot of work with Deirdre. My auntie passed away then, and he was like, look, I'm going to give it away to cancer. And I think he raised 13 grand with Laura Lynn, and he raised over 5 grand with Roscommon Mayo Hospice. So yeah, absolutely delighted. We didn't, not in a million years did we think we'd raise so much money, but want to praise everyone and thank everyone for donating and all the kind gestures. But yeah, tremendous effort.
Absolutely. You should be very proud of that, and good luck if you're selected next week, and we'll talk to you again very soon.
Thanks very much.
Okay, that was Andy Friend, followed by Niall Murray talking to William Davis, and we're in the Colley room again. We've co-opted this room for the podcast because it's too bloody cold to go outside and do it. I've got Danny still with me. I've got Dave Finn. Hiya, Dave.
I'd like to apologise to everybody. The new technique of announcing the number of the score and letting you shout it out will not be continued next week.
That's for everybody who was in the ground. They'll know what he was talking about. And William, you had a busy night commentating. A lot of tries to commentate on.
Yeah, it was a good game to commentate on. It was good fun. There was something happening all the time. Connacht were in charge. It's sort of what I expected, but I thought Brive might do a little bit better and show a bit more, front up. But the thing is, look, they've won 3 games in the top 14, and that's where their focus is. And you can understand that because it's such a bad start to the season. But there was nobody out there who put their hand up for selection either next week in this competition or the following week in the top 14.
No, certainly not. And they even took their 2 most experienced players off after 60 minutes, so, which became a bit of a mess. Danny, we were talking to you during the game. Anything now that you've had a chance for a few minutes to think about excited you most about the game? I suppose Alex Whitten getting a hat-trick was pretty cool.
Yeah, it was great to see him get back on the scoreboard, but I was really impressed with Ford again. Took a try really well. And Baron Ralston, holy cow, can he hit, guys. But actually, the one that really sticks out is Riley pumping Big Papa. It was brilliant. That's how you hit a big man.
Yeah, from the back of a scrum to see Big Papa being driven backwards by a guy half his size was pretty special, William.
Yeah, we had a good bit of fun with that in the commentary box. I think the key for that was I don't think he was actually supposed to pick the ball up. There was a miscommunication, and Riley just got in underneath him. But it was good. There was a lot of small things. There was at one stage in the second half, and Connacht were never struggling. But Josh Murphy drove a guy back 15 metres into his 22, and that took away any option other than kicking, and the kick was hopeless, and Connacht scored a try off it. And it's the small things like that you don't really see, but there was a lot of that going on tonight. They had passing options both sides. If that player gets away with it, suddenly he's 15 metres, he's back on his bum, and it's cleared by Brive, but all they can do then is boot it, and they got it wrong, and that's what you need to see. And the try is in 45 seconds later, and that's brilliant, and that's something we haven't seen from Connacht. And I will take on board absolutely who the opposition were, how switched on or off they were, but there was a lot to like about that performance, and they have to carry that on now next week, and then they have to bring it into the Lions game as well. The same intent, and I think they have simplified their attack plan a lot. Yeah. It now looks about players running onto the ball, passing the ball, taking contact, getting it back. There's no there isn't many dummy runners, there isn't much complication in it, and it looks a really slick attack when it's working like that. We saw a bit of it last week. We actually saw a little bit of a couple of times against Ulster back in December. So I think that's there, and obviously other sides will analyse that and see that as well, but I think it looks a lot better.
Yes, Dave, you were standing in for the legend that is John Mulligan on stadium announcements today. How was the view like from where you were watching the game?
Well, honest answer to that question, because the view is diabolical in terms of what you can actually see of the pitch. In terms of the screens, fantastic. I'll say the boys. There's a lot of guys doing a lot of work up there. They're all under Kieran Hartigan, who did the documentary many years ago. But the 2 boys up there, Stephen and Dan, were fantastic. It was great help, and we kind of had to coordinate between the various. It went very smoothly. In terms of what you can actually see up there, like I say, you just get the Bohemore goal and maybe the Grant Thornton stand. You have to get up to see by the clock, which can be a bit annoying if you're relying on the clock, because there's actually no match clock in there. And you can't see any conversions that are being kicked at the College Road end. We have to go up and look at the screen, because we have to switch the main screen off, because that's what goes out on the main screen. So we can't put that on. So we end up just looking at a tiny, very small window to see if there's conversion. So we it was good tonight, but I can imagine sometimes the really interesting thing was I had ref link for the first time in a long time. It was fascinating. Did lead to the Conor Oliver incident, but that's because the referee, being Italian, went to a TMO, was Italian, and I kind of worked out who was who. TMO's voice. I thought the touch judge. I know I give out, but touch judge is not.
Assistant referee.
Assistant referees, no, touch judging. Touch judge is not calling things. Somebody called a lot tonight. Now, it might have been both assistants. It might have been one assistant rather than the other senior assistant, but there was a lot of calls. And as soon as something went down, you could hear Verde Blanco. You knew it was going to be against them. I thought they were exceptional. I think it's ref link really in situations like this is really fascinating. Unfortunately, my Italian isn't good enough, so I don't exactly know exactly what was being said. It's fascinating. I think great respect for John because he does it every week. Great respect for the boys up there. It's also warm, and I think I'll leave it there.
Yes, exactly. We were pretty cold because, William, you were pretty warm up in your box as well, weren't you? Myself and Danny were frozen down on the thing, and Linley was even more frozen sitting down in the press box.
We have an electric heater, actually, which we turned up to the max, so we could have our window open then for fresh air and heat. Wonderful.
The first try was absolutely outrageous. And that set the tone. Jack Carty does a cross kick. John Porch goes, he's coming like a train. Rob was actually trying to do an update on a GAA score. So he was looking down at his screen. He always is expecting Jack to kick it to the corner, which 99.9% of the time. Mm-hmm. But I actually said, Carty's done a cross kick here. And I said, there's a player coming. I couldn't see that it was Porch. And Kevin Fabian was looking at it going, you got to be kidding me. And then John Porch just ran straight past him, grabbed the ball, and down he went. And that set the tone for the game. That could have gone wrong. Fabian could have collected the ball and gone the length of the pitch, or John Porch might have got there and people would have said, what the hell was that? But it was just a bit of arrogance, and it was brilliant.
Linny, we're just going to, just before we talk about the women, because they had a great win, anything that sort of stood out for you in the match tonight?
The scoreline. I think if you look at all around, and the set piece was solid and good set piece. Obviously, Alex Wharton coming back, is it only his third or fourth match this season? Was a great addition, and I thought himself and Mac Hansen obviously had a really a good sort of relationship on the pitch together, and in fact it was a couple of times both the tries came from both their interactions on the field, so I thought they worked very well together. Anything else? I just think it was a good all-round game, but taking the opposition into account, because let's face it, I don't think that Newcastle are going to be quite so easy as that team. Look, that was a team of Callow youths, essentially, and so I would be very upset if the score was 21-12. So that is the type of score which is more than acceptable. So it's a fair reflection of where Connacht are at compared to that side that came over here. But let's not get too carried away by that result, apart from the fact that they did go and they did do it and they did score 9 tries. So fair dues to them. If they hadn't have, one would have been disappointed possibly.
Exactly. Okay, to finish off the podcast, we'll talk about the second Connacht team that we're playing today up in Ravenhill, and Connacht women had an excellent bonus point win in Ulster, William.
Yeah, they did. They played very well. It was a game of two halves, really, due to the wind. They were 20-0 up at half time, and they finished up winning 25-19. So, and I think Ulster were worth their bonus point. They worked very, very hard. It was just a good, solid performance. A lot of errors by both sides. The conditions were very, very difficult. But look, it sets up next Saturday here. Mm-hmm. Munster today won their second game, beat Leinster. They're coming here expecting to win the Interpro title. They'll be under pressure in that game, and it's up to Connacht to get stuck into them next Saturday as hard as they can. Connacht have 5 points, Munster have 10 points. Well, if Connacht get their win next Saturday and they get a bonus point, they're equal. I would expect Leinster to beat Ulster. Mm-hmm. So you could have 3 teams on 10 points. It'll be a big ask. Munster they look very, very good this year. But I was really impressed with this performance because they fell away a bit against Leinster, but they stuck at it hard in this game. They really had to. But they do need better exit strategies when they're under pressure. They're going to have to come up with something a bit different. And the time is tight for them. As I pointed out in the interviews, or they pointed out, these women all work. They are working. And then they're doing gym in the morning, and they go to work, and then they come out here. They were out here on Thursday night in a monsoon. It was beyond grim. We had to do the interviews before they started because I knew by the end of the game you couldn't ask them to stop to talk to you. They would have been shivering, they'd have been soaking wet. But they all turned up and they were all ready to go, and that's the dedication. And we hope next Saturday. Now, I'd urge people, we'll be in Newcastle, but I'd urge people, get up here at 1 o'clock and get behind them.
They will, and Dave, you're going to cover it for us. So we'll definitely have some coverage there, and hopefully we'll have a big support base there, because it's definitely worth coming up and supporting these women, because they provide a level of commitment that is well worth anybody coming up to support them.
Oh, absolutely. They're a Connacht team. We support all our Connacht teams, especially our senior teams. Christ almighty, if we get it even, I know we had 4,000 here tonight, if we get 2,000 next week, really make it, intimidate Munster. We don't know. I mean, effectively, Munster are a club side. There's an awful lot from Railway Union, and they have a lot of relationships built up. We've a bit more of we've a few more clubs involved, and we have a young team. But a lot of these girls have come through club sides, and the work that's been done, as we see with the minis every time. So come up next week. If Clara Barrett excites me, she was miles behind her opponents for that first round. She just out-sprinted them. It was a brilliant try. I think Nicole Fowley's been going well. I know they lost last weekend on the scoreline, but the scoreline didn't reflect the first half. Leinster made a lot of mistakes, but that's because our pack was putting them under pressure. Yeah, there's a few more guys in the Leinster squad who have got a bit more of a professional background. Obviously the way the game is in this country is moving towards this 3 or 4 super clubs. But there's no reason why they can't beat Munster. And I mean, the pressure's on Munster. They're expected to win. Our girls can go out there, and if we get behind them and get up here 1 o'clock next week and give them intimidate them. Do for the women what we do for the guys. I think that's what we need the Connacht crowd to do. And maybe we could end up. Who knows? Ulster might beat Leinster. We with 5 points, get enough of a turnaround, and who knows? We may sneak the title on points difference. It's a bit of a long shot, I accept, but why not believe it can happen?
Exactly. I think we can finish on that positive note after a very positive day for Connacht Rugby. That's it, folks.
Loose, cut it loose. Break out or nothing changes. Side